Welcome to Chronoverse, where the future isn't just imagined, it's predicted. Today's story will shock you. What if one morning, all of Europe just stopped? Not a war, not a cyber attack, not a natural disaster, but time itself, freezing. March 9th, 2078, 8:17 a.m. Every human, every bird, every clock, frozen in place, no movement, no breath, no heartbeat. For exactly 3 minutes, Europe turned into a silent statue, and then, everything started again. But it wasn't over. A spiral of light appeared over Florence. It hovered, it watched, and it vanished. Governments had no answers. Scientists were speechless. Religions went silent. Only one thing was certain. Something had arrived. A boy from Italy caught it all on his smart glasses. He was the only one who didn't freeze. And in the video, he said just 5 words. "It's not from this world." That clip broke the internet. But it also raised one terrifying question. Was this a warning or an invitation? Because what happened on that day was only the beginning. Stay with us. This is The Day Europe Froze, and you're watching Chronoverse.
It was March 9th, 2078, a Thursday. People all across Europe were waking up, checking their schedules, brushing their teeth, and making coffee, just like any other day. In Madrid, a baker was yelling at his AI-powered oven for burning croissants. In Munich, a teenager was arguing with her smart mirror about her outfit. In Oslo, a grandmother was teaching her robotic dog to bark in 3 different languages. It was a perfectly normal morning, until it wasn't. At exactly 08:17 a.m. Central, European time, every screen, every smartwatch, every smart toaster blinked once. Then twice. Then went completely black. And then the cold came. Not winter cold. Not wear a coat cold. This was something else. A deep, strange silence followed by freezing. Within 30 seconds, temperatures dropped across Europe from an average of 12 degrees to 73 degrees. People screamed, birds fell from the sky. Water solidified in midair, trains froze on their tracks. Airplanes stopped moving mid-flight. Even fire stopped crackling. Everything became still. Everything. Except for one boy on a scooter. His name doesn't matter. What matters is what he saw. He was delivering a pineapple pizza to a rooftop in Florence. He had taken a shortcut through a narrow alley when the blackout hit. His smart helmet malfunctioned. His scooter shut down, but his old second-hand phone kept recording. No AI, no upgrades, just raw battery. He looked up. The sky had changed. Not gray, not cloudy. It was glassy, like someone had replaced the atmosphere with frozen jelly. He saw something else too, a shape, huge, silent, hovering over the Florence Cathedral. He pointed his phone at it. The shape shimmered, then disappeared. 3 minutes later, power returned. The cold vanished just as suddenly. The news said nothing. No explanation. Just technical malfunctions and unexpected climate glitch. But the boy uploaded his video online, and within hours, the internet exploded. Reddit threads. TikTok theories? Emergency podcasts? Was it a military experiment? Alien tech? A weapon test gone wrong? Governments denied everything. But something had changed, not just in the atmosphere. People across Europe began noticing strange things. Milk curdled seconds after opening. Shadows moved the wrong way. Mirrors fogged even without breath. And one very old man in Vienna started writing in a language no one had seen before. This was just the beginning. The boy's video reached over 200 million views in just 2 days. People were shocked, scared, and curious. News channels invited scientists, philosophers, and conspiracy theorists. Everyone had a different idea, but no one could explain one thing. Why didn't the boy freeze like everyone else? He had been outside, riding his scooter, wearing only a thin jacket. He should have turned into an ice sculpture in seconds, but he didn't. In fact, in the video, his breath wasn't even visible. His hands didn't shiver. He looked normal. That made him a target. By the third day, unknown agents came to his house. Not police, not military. They wore white suits with no logos and spoke with no emotion. They took him, not to jail, to the European Thermal Anomaly Investigation Center, a secret facility under the Swiss Alps that wasn't supposed to exist. Inside, the boy was scanned, tested, and questioned. Again and again. Did he feel cold? Did he see the shape again? Had he ever touched alien metal? Had he ever eaten shrimp from the North Sea? None of it made sense until they scanned his blood. There was something strange inside it. Something glowing. A microscopic structure like a spiral made of light and crystal. It wasn't DNA, it wasn't a virus, it was unknown. They called it Sequence Z. It didn't hurt him, it didn't seem dangerous. But it did one thing very clearly, it protected him from the cold. The scientists were stunned. One of them whispered, This could make humans immune to climate disasters. Another whispered, or it could make us extinct. Meanwhile, outside the facility, strange things kept happening. Across Europe, a man in Prague developed frostbite from drinking hot coffee. A wind turbine in Denmark started spinning in reverse and never stopped. A baby was born in Florence, Lisbon, who could heat objects just by touching them. The shape from the sky had only been seen for 3 minutes, but it had changed something in the world. The boy's blood held the first clue. But here's the twist. He wasn't the only one. 2 other people were found who didn't freeze. One was a shepherd in northern Greece. The other was a retired opera singer in Belgium. All 3 had something in common. They had all received the same experimental vaccine back in 2072. A vaccine that was part of a short EU-funded project, which was quickly shut down. Reason: unusual side effects. Now, 6 years later, those side effects were the only thing keeping them alive when the world turned to ice. So what was in that vaccine? That's what the agents in white suits wanted to find out. But someone else was watching. Not from Earth. On the 4th day after the freeze, telescopes in Scotland detected a slow-moving object approaching Earth. It wasn't a meteor. It wasn't a satellite. It looked almost biological, and it was pulsing with the same light as the boy's blood. The countdown had begun. It was day 6 after the freeze. Europe had returned to normal weather, or so it seemed. Governments said everything was fine. Airlines resumed flights. Offices reopened. People tried to forget, but deep down, no one had forgotten, especially not the scientists under the Swiss Alps. The boy was still being studied. So were the other 2. Greece's shepherd and Belgium's opera singer. All 3 were healthy, calm, and glowing. Yes, literally glowing. The spiral in their blood, Sequence Z, was spreading through their bodies slowly. It didn't harm them. In fact, it improved them. The shepherd could hear heartbeats from 20 meters away. The opera singer could sing at frequencies that cracked steel. The boy began to understand animal thoughts, not words, feelings. But the biggest change, they all started dreaming the same dream, every night. The dream had no people, no buildings, only light. A floating spiral of silver light that whispered a single phrase: "We were here before, we are here again." At first, the scientists thought it was a shared hallucination. Then the dream started spreading. By day 7, hundreds of people across Europe claimed to see the same light in their sleep. Some had never met. Some were children. Some were blind. And then, it came. On day 8, at 2:17 a.m. CET, the same time as the freeze a week earlier, the object spotted from Scotland's telescope entered Earth's upper atmosphere. But it didn't crash. It didn't burn. It hovered. It hovered over Lake Geneva. People came out of their homes, speechless. The object was massive, silent, alive, not metal, not stone. It looked like flowing glass in the shape of a spiral, the same spiral the boy had drawn again and again on his table with his finger. Then the object spoke. Not through sound, through thought. Everyone within 300 kilometers heard the same message, inside their minds. You unlocked what was hidden. The cold was a test. Only those with light may continue. We come not to harm, but to choose. Panic. Awe. Silence. News channels tried to decode the message. Scientists tried to track the object's movements. Religions claimed it was a sign of judgment. Some people kneeled. Some ran, but the object stayed still, watching, waiting. Then it sent down a beam, not to a military base, not to a government building, to a school outside Geneva. In the schoolyard, an 8-year-old girl walked into the light. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She smiled and disappeared. 2 minutes later, she returned. But she was different. She spoke 17 languages fluently. She solved a 1,000-piece puzzle in 13 seconds. She predicted an earthquake in Turkey 12 hours before it happened. She was the first human to be upgraded. The object began sending beams to other places. A hospital in Budapest, a refugee camp in Calais, a retirement home in Dublin, each time someone entered. Each time someone came back, changed. This wasn't an invasion, it was a selection process. The visitors were looking for something, not power, not money, not politics. Light, whatever that meant. The boy understood before anyone else. He turned to the scientists and said, "They are not here to take us. They are here to see if we're ready to join them." And with that, he stepped forward. It had been 2 weeks since the freeze. Europe had changed. Skies looked clearer. Birds flew in stranger patterns. Some buildings even glowed faintly at night. And people had started changing too. Not everyone, but enough to notice. The girl from Geneva who returned speaking 17 languages, the refugee from Calais who could touch broken electronics and make them work, the elderly nurse from Dublin who could sense human pain without words, they had all entered the spiral light and returned different. People called them the touched. Governments tried to hide them, but they couldn't. The world had seen too much. TikTok, X, Telegram, YouTube, millions of videos spread daily. The visitors were real. The changes were real. And now something bigger was coming. A new message on day 15 across all of Europe. Every digital device powered on by itself. Phones, tablets, smart refrigerators, even old radios. A single message played across every screen in every language. This is the final phase. Your planet has passed the first gate. You have proven resistance, emotion, curiosity. Now you must make a choice, stay or join. The gate opens in 72 hours. The message ended. No instructions, no contact, just silence. People lost their minds. Social media went into meltdown. Governments called emergency meetings. Churches filled with prayers. Some people packed bags. Some people destroyed their tech and went into hiding. But the question remained. What did join mean? The boy speaks. The boy from Florence, the first one to witness the shape in the sky, was now being called the Beacon. He spoke again from inside the Alps facility. His voice had changed. Calm, deep, mature beyond his age. They are not gods. They are not aliens as we imagine. They are the ones who seed life. They come when a species is almost ready. But they don't interfere. They only offer a door. If we open it, we leave behind what we were. The scientists listened in silence. They call it the spiral ascension. Not everyone can go, only those who carry light. But they will not force. It must be chosen freely. A vote, a signal, a decision by Earth itself. Global reaction in Paris. People lit candles in front of the Eiffel Tower. In Berlin, students marched with signs that said, "We are ready." In Warsaw, a priest publicly stated, "If this is the next chapter of humanity, we must read it." But in London, anti-visitor protests turned violent. In Madrid, a group of generals proposed shutting down the gate with missiles. In Rome, millions gathered to simply watch the sky. And above all, the spiral hovered, now larger, brighter, and glowing with a pulse that felt alive. It wasn't threatening, it was waiting. The final 24 hours, one more message appeared only in the minds of the touched. The gate cannot be faked. Light chooses light. You cannot lie your way in. This time, the spiral dropped a small object in the center of Europe. A smooth sphere, the size of a football, landed in a remote field in Slovenia. Within 4 hours, every major leader, scientist, and journalist gathered near it. It had no buttons, no wires, just one thing, a question. Do you wish to send your kind forward? Yes. No. It was not a question for one person. The device would measure global consciousness, all thoughts, all hopes, all fears, and average them, a planet-wide vote. The countdown began. 2040 quo. The vote across Europe and beyond, people meditated. Some cried, some laughed, some screamed into the wind, and slowly, something strange began to happen. People who had never touched technology felt the sphere's pull. People in remote villages started dreaming of spirals. Animals became calm. Volcanoes that had been unstable became quiet. The planet itself seemed to be deciding. At the 1-minute mark, the world stood still. Even the clouds stopped moving. The boy stood before the sphere. He closed his eyes. Then, it lit up. A simple message hovered in the sky, made of light. The choice is made. What happened next? The spiral rotated once, twice, and then unfolded like a blooming flower made of galaxies. From its center, a beam of golden light shot upward, not into space, but into time. The boy and the others who had been touched walked into it, smiling. Some cried, some waved. Their bodies vanished, but their presence remained, like soft music in the wind. Then the spiral pulsed once more and disappeared. No explosion. No sound. Just gone. The skies returned to blue. The buildings returned to quiet. The birds flew again, and the world stood new. 1 year later, no one froze again. No more spiral visits. But people had changed. More empathy, less war, more curiosity, less greed, more dreams. Technology improved. Dreams became clearer. And once, a year on March 9th, at exactly 8:17 a.m., the sky over Europe turned slightly glassy, and those who listen closely can still hear the words, "You chose the light. We will see you again when the next door opens."